Over the last 35 years, hundreds of Metroidvanias have landed on consoles and PC, but only a select few actually stick with you. We're talking sprawling worlds full of hidden rooms, combat that challenges and excites, and worlds you want to explore again and again. Today we're counting down the ones that nailed the formula. I've sunk in a lot of hours in Metroidvanias, and honestly, Blasphemous 2 sits near the top of the pile for me. It takes the vicious combat and eerie atmosphere of the first game and pushes it even further, pulling heavily from Spanish Catholic imagery to build a world that's pretty and unsettling at the same time. This one dropped in 2023 and it's packed with wild set pieces. One big addition this time around is the weapon system. Instead of sticking with a single blade, you can swap between 3 distinct weapons, each with their own movement options and combos. The difficulty hits hard without feeling cheap, and the art direction is jaw-dropping. Fans of the first game will catch plenty of clever nods, but even if you've never touched Blasphemous before, this one's worth diving into. Iconoclasts is a little more straight-laced than most Metroidvanias, but that focus gives it room to tell a story that sticks with you. Religion, family, control. This game dives headfirst into all of it. The world runs on a dwindling resource called ivory, and Robin, the mechanic you play as, basically decides she's had enough of living under the thumb of corrupt authority. It came out in 2018, built almost entirely by solo developer Konjak, and you can feel the personal touch all over it. The game constantly messes with your expectations. Characters swap roles, friends stab you in the back, and villains end up being way more complicated than you thought. Gameplay-wise, it still hits those Metroidvania beats, gadgets, upgrades, and occasional backtrack. But it's the storytelling that really cuts deep. Just don't go in expecting a tidy resolution, because this one does not pull its punches. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, hit with a sprawling world and clever twist on the Metroidvania formula. Combat feels surprisingly deep too. You've got combos to juggle enemies, dodge attacks, and unleash counters, while time-bending powers swing between the practical, like an air dash, and the insane interdimensional portal. One smart touch lets you capture screenshots of out-of-reach upgrades, handy for planning your inevitable backtracking without losing your mind. Each biome is meticulously crafted, a place you actually want to get lost in. A post-game update even piled on platforming challenges to push your skills further. The heartbreak? Ubisoft disbanded the team after missing sales targets. The Lost Crown deserved better. Axiom Verge 2 drops you into a bizarre alien world as Indra Chaudhary, a billionaire CEO, hunting for her missing daughter. You're armed with glitch-powered tools that let you hack enemies and objects, turn foes into allies, manipulate the environment, and discover hidden paths. You've got a huge world in this one, packed with twisting corridors, secret rooms, and layered puzzles that make exploration feel rewarding. Every new area has its own weird aesthetic, and the soundtrack pulls you into the alien vibe without ever letting go. Combat isn't as intense as the first game, but the focus on hacking and environmental interaction adds a fresh twist. Boss fights are tricky but inventive, often forcing you to think instead of just shoot. Definitely one you want to check out. While it might not be the most groundbreaking entry in the series, Mercury Steam's 2021 Metroid Dread delivers everything you could want from a Metroidvania. Sprawling, labyrinthian zones, combat that actually rewards skill, and boss fights that feel massive without ever overstaying their welcome. What sets Dread apart are the details, the environmental storytelling, the tiny touches that make the world feel lived in, and those tense, stealthy, heavy EMMI sections that keep your heart racing. A lot of games try to mimic the formula and come out hollow. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? Fun, sure. Memorable, not as much as Dread. Metroid games actually get it. Every hallway hums with isolation and danger. And yet, I couldn't tear myself away. Every Metroid aims for that oppressive yet inviting vibe. But Dread nails it in a way that sticks with you long after you finish the game. Owlboy is a charming pixelated Metroidvania that approaches combat in a way you probably haven't seen before. Instead of relying on traditional weapons or just traversal, you use Owlboy's companions, carrying them from level to level and switching between them to handle different enemies. Each new area introduces foes that require unique strategies and equipment to defeat. Owlboy still delivers moments of tension, clever level design, and fun combat that makes it enjoyable for any fan of the genre. Whether you're in it for the story, the exploration, or just some inventive pixelated action, this is a game worth sinking into. Now let's quickly talk about instant gaming, the best way to get your games for less money than you would from retail. Whether it's new releases, bestsellers, or upcoming pre-orders, you'll find them at a discount for PC, PlayStation, and more. Unlike shady key marketplaces, instant gaming only sells keys from authorized resellers, so you're getting legit products at great prices. Plus, with a top Trustpilot rating and 24/7 customer support, you can buy with confidence. Personally, I've been using their service for a while, and always had a great experience. And that's why we're happy to partner with them. Check out Instant Gaming through the link in the description and start saving today. Yoku's Island Express probably isn't like anything you've played before. Released in 2018 by Villa Gorilla, it puts you in the shell of a dung beetle, who's just arrived on the island's new postmaster. You'll pick up items and abilities, unlock new areas, and backtrack across the map to find treasures you couldn't reach before. Classic Metroidvania stuff. Then there's the twist. It's pinball. Not just a little, like really pinball. Flippers hide in bushes, boards stretch across flowing screens, and there's platforming mixed in. It's weird, it's clever, and somehow it just works. The game has a whimsical, playful tone that never falters, and it's genuinely fun from start to finish. If you've got family around, it's a safe bet everyone will have a blast. If you grew up on classics like Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit, and Wonder Labyrinth will instantly feel familiar. Developed by Team Ladybug and published by Playism, you play as Deedlit, an elven warrior who wields elemental spirits of fire and wind to solve puzzles and tear through enemies. The game clearly wears its Symphony of Night inspiration on its sleeve. Exploration-heavy maps, a huge arsenal of weapons, and clever level design. The sprite work is slick too. The story can be a bit murky, especially if you're not familiar with the 90s anime it's tied to. But the action and gameplay more than make up for it. Fans of classic Metroidvanias feel right at home here. Tales of Kenzera Zao hits harder than most games in the genre, blending deep exploration with a raw, emotional story about grief through the lens of African culture. It's not just something you play, it's something you feel. The combat is sneakily deep. Switching masks mid-attack opens up combos that feel satisfying and fluid, giving every encounter weight and rhythm. And of course, like all great Metroidvanias, it rewards curiosity. Every collectible is worth tracking down, and the challenge areas test your mastery without ever feeling cheap. This game isn't just another entry in a crowded genre. It's a standout experience that sticks with you long after you put the controller down.
That there are 3 great spirits who have denied you.
I've been banging the drum for the Ender series for years. Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, landed with almost no fanfare, even though it's one of the best Hollow Knight follow-ups you can play. It borrows Team Cherry's gloomy aesthetic and somber soundtrack, and the bosses hit just as hard. Combat has its own twist though. You collect spirits you can summon in battle, giving it a feel more like Pokemon or Ni no Kunai than a traditional Metroidvania. The series got an equally strong follow-up in 2025 with Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist, which I found just as gripping and charming as the original. And yes, Hollow Knight Silksong is out too, another masterpiece on this list. 2 excellent games, fully playable, and both delivering exactly what fans were hoping for. The Messenger doesn't start as a Metroidvania. It kicks off as a tight action platformer, before transforming halfway through. It's a modern take on Ninja Gaiden, all about becoming the ultimate ninja with your sword, grappling hook, and the game's standout ability, the Cloud Step. Hit an enemy mid-jump and it launches you higher, letting you chain moves in ways that feel amazing. It's tough, but the controls are so slick that it never feels unfair. The game has this fun gimmick where each dungeon flips between 8-bit present visuals and music and 16-bit future ones. It's neat, though not essential. The story, on the other hand, hits surprisingly hard, capturing the feeling of a hero battling an ancient curse. And yes, before it became a cult hit, the director's old workplace laughed it off. "You aren't a designer, get back to coding." Lucky for us, they were very wrong. The clever thing about SteamWorld Dig is that you don't have to just explore a map. You carve it out yourself. So many Metroidvanias take place in caves. But here, there's a reason to be digging. In a steampunk world, Dorothy the robot isn't just mining for treasure. She's hunting for Rusty, the hero of the first dig. Like Iconoclasts, the game doesn't overload you with equipment. Instead, it leans on a range of upgrades and a thoughtful skill tree that lets you tweak your gear and playstyle. The theme is upbeat, the difficulty curve gentle, and it all combines into something that's almost cozy. A game you can sink into without stress. The SteamWorld series is still trucking along, branching into new genres, and this one is a perfect starting point for anyone curious. Thought I'd highlight the original for you. Hollow Knight Silksong takes everything brilliant about the original and spins it faster. Playing as Hornet feels different right away. She's agile, her needle attacks are precise, and the combat has a sharp, snappy rhythm that makes every fight feel earned. The story leans into Hornet's journey, giving the game a weight that hits without slowing the action. There's also the new quest system that gives more structure to your adventure, and of course, the soundtrack hits hard at all the right moments. I want to hear what you think. Did Team Cherry manage to top Hollow Knight? Or does the original still reign supreme? Either way, it's a wild ride that's worth diving into. Talking about Animal Well is harder than it should be, because it's ridiculously easy to recommend. It's a puzzle-heavy playground packed with clever interactions and surprises. Just when you think you've hit the bottom, dodging oddly adorable critters in moody 8-bit environments, you drop into another hidden lair full of secrets. And that's the catch. The thing that makes Animal Well so brilliant are the same things that are almost impossible to describe without ruining the experience. Spoilers would be catastrophic. So here's the advice. Run, don't walk, and dive yourself in. The magic is in discovering it firsthand. Trust me, it's worth every second. Ori and the Blind Forest was already gorgeous, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps takes everything to another level. This might be the best feeling 2D game ever made. The platforming is silky smooth, which is remarkable given how stunning and emotionally charged the visuals and music are. There's so much to love. Adorable characters, largely wordless storytelling, and a world that feels alive in every frame. Even the low points barely register, while the highs are breathtakingly atmospheric. With combat tightened, platforming distilled even further, and difficulty spikes from the first game smoothed out, Will of the Wisps is pure kinetic joy. Your eyes, ears, and thumbs will be glued to the screen, soaking in one of the most polished and emotionally resonant Metroidvanias ever made. Hollow Knight tops this list because it nails every Metroidvania beat while quietly redefining the genre. Think about it. If Metroid and Castlevania weren't already legendary, we might be calling a whole bunch of these exploration action games Hollow Knight-likes instead. The game is lean, packed, and flawless. Its world is huge and lush, hiding unforgettable bosses behind clever, intuitive progression. Combat and platforming feel effortless in your hands, and the charm system gives you a real freedom to tweak your playstyle. Every frame of the hand-drawn art is meticulous, and the soundtrack hits hard, pulling you deep into the world. It's no wonder so many modern games borrow its mechanics, and why fans of Silksong are so rabid. This game isn't just excellent, it's influential in ways you feel with every jump and strike. Dead Cells is one of the best procedural video games, one of the best Metroidvanias, one of the best indie games, and honestly one of the best at everything it does. It's an indie gem through and through, although more and more content has been added over time, including elements that flesh out the adventure and give personality to its key figures. All of it sits in a subtle lair that never tries to steal the spotlight. The most avid players like yours truly will happily spend hours scouring every last room for those hidden scraps of lore scattered across the map, but there's never any real obligation to do so. The focus is always on the gameplay. Sprawling levels, an absurd variety of weapons, powers and builds, and bosses that demand your full attention. The loop is so good that even hundreds of hours can feel like scratching the surface. Let me know in the comments what Metroidvanias we missed, and we'll be sure to get it in the next one. Thanks for watching, and check out our next video on screen, the best roguelike games out currently.